Hey guys, so I wanted to fill you in on something that I recently did. You guys, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm a tube amp guy, and I've loved tube amps. But recently, I bought a new amplifier. I got a Kemper profiling amp. If you don't know much about them, there's a lot of stuff out on YouTube about them, but they're pretty amazing. What they basically do, they don't just sort of mock up what an amp sounds like, although things like the Helix and other ones are really amazing at doing that. But this one is called a profiling amp, and what you basically do is you can record an amplifier. So let's say you have a 1972 Super Lead or something like that. You can plug into the Super Lead, and it basically somehow figures out the tone circuit of that amp and plays back the amp identically. And it's really amazing. So you can have 200 of the best amps that money can buy right in this Kemper. It came with Fuchs amplifiers and Marshall amplifiers and Dumble, $50,000 Dumble amplifiers, all built into this thing. And my first assessment of it is brilliant. So I've been very happy with it. But let me walk you through a little bit of how I got there. As I said, I'm a tube guy, and if you see behind me, the rig that I've been using for the last little bit is I have a 66 Fender Bassman. Great clean amplifier, good, like slight driven amplifier. And I also use a matchless DC30, really brilliant amplifier, sort of an AC30 type of amp. I've really loved those. I spent a long time building a pedal board and getting a pedal board just right. Many of you have seen the pedal board video that I put out, and I really loved it. I loved my rig, but what happened is over the last, a couple years ago, I started hearing about the Kempers, was very interested, but, a bit skeptical. But then I started seeing guys who were guys that I really respected, appreciated, admired, especially tube amp guys, that started crossing over to the Kemper land. And, the more I read about it, the more impressed I was. But I was still a skeptic. You hear a lot of good things about a lot of gear, but you wonder when you really get your hands on it, what it'll be like. Anyhow, the thing that pushed me over the edge is I have my studio here, and at the church that I play at, that I use the gear, but also at home I have a home studio, and I was doing either a session for somebody or a video for something. And I do like home sessions where people will send me the recording and I play over top of it for them. And at home I have a really good studio setup. I have a 66 or 65 Fender Vibrolux, brilliant amp. I've used it on hundreds and hundreds of sessions. It's just a great all-around amp that does everything pretty well. I have a Hayseed 30, which is like a 1962 AC30 knockoff, like a direct clone of it. Great sounding amplifier, sounds very AC30-ish. Can get that blizzard of nails or that real chimey sound. And then I also have a Marshall Jubilee, what is it, a 1988 or something like that, Marshall Jubilee. Brilliant sounding Marshall amp. It's like the Joe Bonamassa amp. So just a great sounding amp. Anyhow, I went to do the session, plugged into the Vibrolux, and I had a problem with the Vibrolux. I don't know what was going on, but there was an issue with it. Plugged into the AC30, there was a problem with the AC30. Plugged into the Marshall, there was a problem with the Marshall. So I'm without an amplifier, and I'm down to a pod, which pods are great, but for this type of thing was not really what I wanted to do. And it got me so frustrated that I thought, like, man, I don't want to deal with tube amplifiers anymore. Seems like there's always one in the shop for me. Right then, I saw a thing on Kemper Amps. I'd read a couple other additional things, but I saw Tim Pierce, who's a studio legend, guy that I love. He got his amps profiled, and man, for the life of me, it was really, really, really difficult to hear the profiled amp compared to his, he probably has $60,000 worth of amps that he's sitting on. And, it was just amazing. So with all of that, I decided to make the jump, and I've got to tell you, I have been extremely happy. I mean, extremely happy. So happy that I think I'm going to sell my Matchless and my Fender. I'll probably profile them and get rid of them. I already sold my pedal board. I eBayed my whole pedal board, just took it on eBay. Off it went and shipped the whole thing out. Hopefully somebody's enjoying that pedal board. But the delays on this thing are fantastic, which is a key for worship music for me. The reverbs are really good reverbs. The effects, I haven't dug a lot into the effects, but they seem to be passably good effects. But the amplifiers are spectacular. So you can get a Fuchs amplifier, a Dumbo amplifier, a Marshall amplifier, AC30. I bought a pack from Michael Britt of, I think it was a 1965 AC30, brilliant amplifier with all these great sounds, and it cost me $12 to buy. So anyhow, all that to say, I have been extremely thrilled with this profiler. And more to come on that later. I'm going to do some videos on how I use it. I don't know a lot about it yet, but I've been really happy. But anyhow, wanted to share that with you and thought you might enjoy it. So. See you guys next time.